Alright, just before we get things underway, I would like to say that tonight's Canucks game against the Edmonton Oilers will be missed by me. So I want to ask you to throw it down in the comments. What do we want here? Do we want a video of the game right after the game is done? Because I'm not going to be able to do that. There is a Richmond Sockeyes home game in the PJHL for Junior B, and I am the play-by-play commentator for that team. So I will miss the Vancouver Canucks game, but if we would like to see a video after I get back, which would probably be an hour or so removed from the end of the game, or excuse me, an hour or so removed from when I would normally upload these videos, or would we just like to skip it entirely? Or would we like to leave it off until tomorrow morning? I'm not really too sure. If there's actually stuff to talk about, then I'll see if I can find a way to talk about it. But if there isn't anything that goes on that I find is worthy of talking about, then I might skip it entirely. I'm not too sure. But leave it down in the comments below. What do we want here? Because I like talking about the Canucks. I don't think I'll watch them today, but I like talking about them. And I like talking about the prospects too. So in this video, let's go over some of our Vancouver Canucks prospects. In particular, the two that we most recently drafted at the top of the 2019 NHL Entry Draft. We're talking about Vasili Podkolzin and Nils Hoglander today, and a quick update on both of these guys and their prospect coverage, I guess. Is that the right word? I'm not really too sure. Let's start off with our 10th overall boy, Vasili Podkolzin, drafted in Vancouver by Vancouver at the top of the 2019 NHL Entry Draft. He's had a rough go. A really, really rough go. Let's go over onto his Elite Prospects page, and I'll show you what I mean, because Podkolzin has had a really weird little transition back after his draft year. So right away, you'll notice, looking at his Elite Prospects page, Vasili Podkolzin has 0 points in 8 games played so far. 8 games with the KHL and the VHL, and then 3 games with the Russian U20 team. He hasn't scored a single point all year, which is not nice, but there's context to this. You'd notice the 7 games played for SKA St. Petersburg in the KHL. Let's go over onto Cam Robinson's Twitter account and check out just how many minutes he's getting out there. Check this out. Vasili Podkolzin's time on ice to begin the KHL season. In the first game of KHL play for Vasili Podkolzin after making SKA St. Petersburg, he played 41 seconds. In Game 2, he played 10 minutes and 36 seconds. And in Game 3, he played 40 seconds. So he's averaging about 2 minutes of ice time per night. That's definitely inflated by that 10 minutes, and I don't even know if the math works out that way, so I apologize if it doesn't. But the point is, Podkolzin hasn't really been getting that opportunity to really shine. And sure, Podkolzin making SKA St. Petersburg is amazing in itself. Let's check out this other tweet from Cam Robinson for people losing their minds over Podkolzin's recent deployment. In the last 11 years, SKA has dressed 6 U19 skaters, and that's it. They don't play young guys all too often. And they don't really play Podkolzin all too often either. Let's take a look at some of his other games right here, because Cam Robinson's Twitter goes over a few other KHL games that Podkolzin has played, and it's the same story every time. Only 2 minutes of ice time, only a minute of ice time, only whatever. He's not getting the ice time. But then he was demoted to the VHL because, if the guy's not really doing anything and he has the time, send him to the VHL and see what he does. He played 1 game in the VHL, and in that 1 game that he played, let's check out the summary from Cam Robinson. Podkolzin was demoted to the VHL. He produced 4 shots on net in 19 minutes and 38 seconds of action, leading all forwards in ice time as SKA Neva defeated Beijing 4-3. So he plays in the VHL, doesn't get a point, but he's looking pretty good. 4 shots on net he generated, 0 points as I said, but overall it's something that you wouldn't really like to see because He's bouncing up and down, and that's what we're going to see with Vasili Podkolzin, a guy who's not going to really be stable in one spot the entire year. And let's face it, nobody's really surprised that he's bouncing up and down. You don't really get playing time on SKA St. Petersburg unless you're like a veteran already, and Podkolzin certainly is not that, so it doesn't surprise me that he's not getting the ice time. But after the short VHL stint, Podkolzin was brought back up to the main KHL team. He was briefly dressed as the 13th forward, and then he skated 7 shifts in the game, totaling 4 minutes. So, yeah, he's getting his opportunities. That was from 2 days ago, Cam Robinson's tweet. I gotta give a big shout out to Cam Robinson, by the way. He's in my hockey pool, and he updates the Canucks prospects like no other, especially since Ryan Bache is now working for the Canucks. But that's our quick little Podkolzin update. He's not really doing all too much. He's not really getting too much ice time, but he is progressing forward in some capacity. Now, let's go over to Nils Hoglander, who's had a pretty good season himself. Hoglander is on pace to become the next Elias Pettersson, if not better, because he's all the way up there at 2 points in 2 games. I mean, just kidding. I'm obviously being sarcastic. A goal and an assist in 2 games of play in the SHL for the Rögle BK. He's already on pace to beating his 14 points in 50 games last year as a draft-eligible player. Hoglander is out there with some pretty good points. He had a really, really nice, nifty goal, and now he's setting up those assists as well. Nils Hoglander is playing on the second line for Rögle, I believe, alongside of Dominic Bach, who got loaned over to that team. So that's going to be really cool as well. Dominic Bach, another first-round talent taken in the NHL draft in 2018. He was initially a Vancouver Lakers player, but is now with the Rögle BK. And he's looking to be a pretty good steal for the St. Louis Blues if everything pans out right. But for the most part, Hoglander has had a much better draft plus 1 year than Podkolzin has. Obviously, they're 2 different situations entirely, so it's not really super fair to compare them both head to head. But in this video, I just wanted to give a quick update as to what these 2 are going through. Hoglander, there's a lot to say about Hoglander, but it's all very positive, and you don't really have all this negative stuff that we do see with Podkolzin, because Podkolzin is going through those growing pains of being one of the younger players in one of the older teams in the KHL. So definitely it's not something that's ideal for development, but at the same time, he made the team and he's on it. That's not something that a lot of people can say as a 19, 18-year-old player playing in the KHL. As for Hoglander, though, he's been pretty good, and we'll see the comparisons to Elias Pettersson as the season goes on, not in terms of the style or the potential, but just as the points in general, because if you do remember, Elias Pettersson did have that phenomenal SHL season, that 1 year where he dominated the league, and he totally overcame all the rookie scoring records and became the best SHL junior player ever right before he came over to Vancouver, and that was a 56 point in 44 game production rate there. So Hoglander is the next guy in line to have a draft plus 1 year in the SHL. We'll see what happens with him as things go forward. The Vancouver Canucks, it's been a while since we've drafted a guy who's played in the KHL in their draft plus 1. Podkolzin is obviously one of the first guys that we've seen in a while that is under this status, but overall, I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how things progress. If he does get a few more points than, let's say, I don't know, Vitaly Kravtsov does, then that would be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen because Kravtsov, he's been great ever since being drafted in 2018. I don't know if I see the same development path from Podkolzin, but you never know. You never know. Things happen, and we don't really know how to predict it. But overall, though, that's our little prospects update. Again, comment down below what you want me to do for the Edmonton game later today, because I'm not going to be able to watch that, nor am I going to be able to make a video right when that game completes. So if something does happen in that game that I think is worth talking about for sure, I'll see if I can try to fit it in, but there are no guarantees. So overall, just comment down below what you want me to do with that. A video after the game, a video tomorrow morning, whatever, I'll listen. Hope you enjoyed this quick little prospects update. So that's 99. And bye.